This is Will's Band of the Week for October 17th, 2016. Hello, and welcome to another edition of Will's Band of the Week. This is Will, along with Barrett live in studio.
Hello.
And Dog live in studio, but he is really looking like he's not going to contribute much. Looks a little too well rested, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's just kind of laying down there, spread eagle with his chin resting on the floor. Doesn't look like he's going to say anything.
I think he probably wanted to hear the bands that we have lined up this week.
Yeah.
Right?
To hear what we thought about them.
Got a little excited about it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So he's going to kind of sit back and listen. If he has any comments, we'll let you know. So, well, let's see. It seems like it's been a while, Barrett. Let's see. I think that like the last 2 weeks we had the correspondents on, right?
Yeah.
Right? So now we're back with sort of the home team.
Right.
Speaking of teams.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, the home teams.
We should maybe first talk about my poor Premier League team. You know the Sunderland, they haven't won a game yet.
You didn't. Yeah, I realized that. I've been looking at the... let me look at the standings here.
It's not good. Of course, for you guys, Tottenham is rocking.
We're doing all right. Craig's team is doing all right. Your team is doing very poorly.
They're not all right. No, they're not all right at all.
So let's take a look. They call it the table instead of the standings in these things. So.
Oh, cool. I like that.
Yeah. So I think our teams are playing each other soon.
Which ones?
Tottenham and Sunderland.
Oh.
So that's something to look forward to. Anyway, so yeah, your team lost again.
Yeah.
And Craig did try to warn you away from that, but you went so far as to get a shirt.
Yeah, I still like the shirt.
Did you send away for that, or did you buy it locally?
I had to order it from some kind of international thing.
Yeah.
I like the shirt, though, and I'll wear it proudly even if they get relegated.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of figured it wasn't really, you weren't in it just for the glory.
Right.
It's just to have a small rooting interest.
Yeah, and I think just the dare of, the relegation danger makes it kind of fun.
Yeah.
Who knows? They could go on a streak. Although Craig was saying, if you get to, a couple months into the season and don't have any wins yet, it could be a problem.
Yeah. Well, you've got some ground to make up.
Yeah.
But, I would say it's happened before, but I have no idea if it's happened before. I don't know what, I don't know anything about these things. I've only followed it for like less than a full year.
Yeah.
So, but it doesn't look too promising.
No.
But,
so we didn't have any.
I'm just wondering if you'll ever be wearing that around here, and somebody will say, "Oh, hey, what is your team? What is their something?"
Well, I think they're the Black Cats.
The Black Cats.
But I don't know if they. I think I forgot the name. They get called by like a nickname rather than the actual Black Cats.
Yeah,
I think
even all those things are just nicknames too. Like they don't have team names like the Green Bay Packers. It would just be Green Bay football team,
and then they can have
nicknames.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Yeah,
which is a segue into what happened this afternoon.
Yeah, I was just going to say we didn't have live reports, so we have sports reports.
Yeah,
and the Green Bay Packers, they're kind of not. This is the thing. This is the comment I made. They failed to give us our entertainment value.
Well, right.
I mean, was that game even $0 worth? Do you think? I don't really think so.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at least
it made more than zero in advertising.
Yeah. They got beat by 2 touchdowns. And,
yeah.
Even when you play poorly, though, it does give you something to analyze and something to think about. Like I was thinking about how they should fire their coach. So I wouldn't have been thinking that otherwise.
Yeah.
I think they've just gotten complacent.
Yeah.
And they just need a new culture, need some new ideas. And It's probably not going to happen, and maybe it shouldn't even happen. But if it did, I would be pleased.
You know, the mid-season coach firing isn't really that common, though, right?
No, it's not.
So I think you get to the end of the year, if they were to not make the playoffs,
then he's gone the day after.
I think maybe, yeah. The funny thing is that their defense, they've had all these injuries, and they don't look really all that terrible. But the offense is just terrible.
Yeah, they just couldn't get anything going.
Like 3 years ago, it was the opposite, right?
Even less than that, like the first half of last year.
Yeah, it was like the offense could just run up and down the field, but then the defense couldn't stop anybody. So
right.
Problems of American football. These are things that can be analyzed a lot.
So you always think things like, wow, if they had the offense from 2011 and the defense from this year, oh my God, they would never. Yeah. Just like the Badgers. What if the Badgers had the offense from 2 years ago and the defense from this year?
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
That'd be good.
They would never lose.
Boy, the Badgers, that's our local college team, they have lost 2 games, but they were both to really good teams, and they were reasonably close. Mm-hmm. So
they're still number 10.
It's a solid team.
They dropped two places only.
Oh, that's good.
So you must have gone to that game, right?
No, I didn't.
You didn't.
I was out of town, and then I ended up coming back earlier than expected, but I didn't get back till halfway through the game. So I sold my tickets because I wasn't going to be around.
Yeah. Did you sell them on StubHub?
No. I sold them to a friend and made no profit whatsoever.
The dog can't decide what he wants to do.
No, he can't. It's because we haven't started playing his favorite bands yet.
I guess so. He's just kind of protesting.
Maybe he wants us to talk about Donald Trump. What do you think?
He might.
Yeah. So there's this site. This is kind of music news. There's a site called 30 Days, 30 Songs. Did you see that site?
I haven't seen the site, but I've seen individual songs that people put on Facebook.
Yeah. So use the number 30, and if you type in 30days30songs.com, there's a list of all of them, and they're doing 30 songs starting 30 days before the election. So as we record this, we're up to number 7. And the way they phrase it is written and recorded by artists for a Trump-free America. So
who have we gotten so far?
Well, we got some pretty big names. We got Death Cab for Cutie, Amy Mann, Jim James, Franz Ferdinand, Josh Ritter, and Tao. And then somebody named B. Beeman, but I don't know who that is. Do you know who B. Beeman is?
I don't.
So every day they'll put one of these songs up, and they'll have the lyrics. And the lyrics are something about how bad Donald Trump is.
Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, we kind of decided that we try to avoid, politically controversial subjects on the podcast. But then you and I were talking about this, and we decided that, I don't think that Donald Trump being a disaster should even be controversial, right? It's so clearly obvious.
It's right.
That he's a complete disaster.
Almost all, maybe every single one of our listeners would be, of the same mind as we are about Donald Trump. But
yeah, it's totally and the international listeners must just think, what the hell, right?
Sure.
I mean, that's probably what you should think.
Right.
It's like, what is wrong with the United States?
Well, but look at Great Britain, and then France. This right-wing nationalist sentiment is kind of a spreading danger, and it seems to be a smaller and smaller group of people here in the United States, but they're getting emboldened, and they've got a major party candidate that's giving them voice. So
it's gone beyond the mere just political positions, though. It's gone completely off the rails.
Oh, yeah.
You've got a guy who's mentally unbalanced, dangerous, and just a complete asshole, right?
Right.
That's pretty clear, right?
Right.
I don't feel like I'm saying anything, like I said, that even should be controversial. Any person with any human decency should realize that, right?
Right.
So we probably just lost our 2 Trump voting listeners. So see you later, people.
Right.
Fine with us.
I just don't think there are any. And if there are, they've learned to compartmentalize and put that in a little part of their brain.
Right.
And now it sounds like I'm trying to I'm trying to appease these people, and I'm not. You people are dangerous fools.
Yeah.
For supporting him. But perhaps there's a little bit of hope for you if you are listening to our podcast.
Right?
Maybe you're not just filled with rage. Maybe you have some room for happiness too.
Be pretty cool if the election. Well, I don't think it'll be cool if the election's close at all. That would be bad. It shouldn't be close at all. I can't even believe the polls. Like, why isn't he behind by 30 points at least?
Because that will never happen again. They talked to some of his supporters, like, what if all of these women who accused him of groping them and stuff, what if they were all right with that? I don't mean if they were all right, but what if they were all telling the truth?
Yeah.
And people were saying, well, I wouldn't like it, but I'd still vote for him.
Yeah. Right.
So it does not even matter that somebody could be a serial sexual predator, sexual abuser. They do not care. Does not matter. That's how much they, that's how much they hate Hillary Clinton. And that's scary in itself that you can feel that way.
Yeah. It's like people just join a team, right? And then they just sort of dig in their heels, and then it doesn't matter what. It'd be like if if the coach of your favorite team was like a complete jerk. You'd be like, well, it's still my team. So you still root for your team. That's kind of what they're doing, right?
Yeah, but I guess. It feels a little bit different. When we're talking about something like, say, the Packers. So the Packers would be analogous to the Democrats in our case. And you would want the Packers and the Democrats to win. But the stakes are just so totally different. One thing doesn't matter. And then, on the other hand, you have football, which matters so much. It's really kind of hard to compare them.
Yeah, exactly. Good point. Yep. All right, there you go. 30 songs, 30 days. Now, overall, so far, I've sampled most of these songs, and I've found the songs to be not that good, but the lyrics to be interesting. So I'm kind of waiting for there to be an actual song that like grabs me, and it hasn't really happened yet. So maybe the B. Beeman one. Maybe that's
unfortunate
the one.
Choice of words.
Oh, to grab me? Yeah, like Donald Trump would? Yeah. Well, I'm male. I don't think he grabs males.
Yeah,
remember when he said that this woman, there's no way he would have sexually assaulted her because she's not attractive enough?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, just look at her. She's not my type. He said that.
Like,
that's a presidential candidate.
I know.
That's just unbelievable.
That in itself is not disqualifying. There we are back.
There was an article like 3 months ago, and it was like 100 things that should disqualify Donald Trump from being president. Just like 100 things that are all so ridiculous. And now there's been 100 more.
Right.
It's just...
He had a like an intelligence briefing, right, with whoever does these things. They're not administrative positions that Obama or whoever's the president appoints. These are like career intelligence officers, right? Mm-hmm. And they have a briefing with him, and they say, well, we learned that we have a pretty high certainty that the Russians are the ones that hacked into the emails of the DNC and John Podesta and stuff like that. And he's like, I don't believe it. He just chose not to believe it because, that's incredible.
Yeah. Like, because he can choose whatever he wants.
Right. Choose his own facts, choose his own reality.
Exactly.
And in his little reality, more people want him to be president, and news agencies and polling firms are doing their best to try to hide that. But I honestly think that he's completely deluded and that he believes it.
Yeah.
But
with some of that stuff, it's kind of hard, though, I think for me, it's sort of hard to evaluate how much of it he really believes and how much of it is just a cynical, manipulative personality. Because I don't, could he possibly be so dumb to believe some of that stuff? Some of it is so ridiculous that, like, a person of even well below average intelligence would be able to figure it out, right?
Right.
So there's probably a combination of, the huge ego plus the, just this narcissistic personality that causes him to, believe some of it. But I think a lot of it is also just
that's true,
pure manipulation. And people, if people believe it, it just reinforces it. right? If you say something ridiculous and people go along with it, then you kind of just see how easy it is to manipulate people.
Right.
Which is another sad commentary on America, right? Mm-hmm. How easily manipulated the people are.
I think you could move that beyond just America, just human nature in general.
Yeah.
You know, people's willingness to follow somebody that taps into their fears and whatever, whether that's in, remote history or in Great Britain earlier this year. It's just kind of all over the place.
Yeah, it's true.
So,
yeah,
should not listen to these crazy people, but you should listen to us when we give you musical recommendations, because those aren't crazy. Those are founded in reason.
Right, exactly. You know, the years and years that we've listened to music, we kind of know what's best for people.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, just the two of us here have like 105 years of music listening experience or so.
Right. Yeah. If you add Chris, that adds another like 10 or 15 years.
Something like that.
Yeah. So we're well into the, we're at like 140 years or something. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not bad.
So might as well use that expertise, right? So I don't think we have any live reports. We don't have any actual music news. So yeah, let's move on. Got some power pop this week. There wasn't anything obvious to talk about. So there was one power pop thing that I'd heard some good things about, so I thought, sure, let's listen to that. There's another even more like straight up power pop thing we're going to get to, recommended by our listener David, who's becoming a very good contributor in terms of recommending things. And I think he's probably auditioning to be a correspondent. But those are very exclusive positions.
They are.
You know, I mean, there's like a 4-stage application and interview process. So, I don't want to put him through all that, unless we have some reasonable hope,
right? Right.
For him. So, anyway.
Yeah, at this point, I guess he's like in the, like a baseball reference. He'd be like in low A ball right now.
Right.
Struggling to get some playing time, sitting on the bench.
Right.
In like Helena, Montana.
Yeah, and every once in a while, he'll come in as a pinch hitter and get a hit, maybe drive in a run. And the manager will start thinking, maybe we need to think about promoting this guy. He hasn't quite earned it yet, but we're thinking about it.
Right.
So, yeah, that's a perfect analogy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, well, first let's talk about, have you ever had I'm sure you have a thing where you think the band name is kind of dumb, so you just don't want to listen to them, right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought about this band. They're called Level Up, and it's spelled in this goofy way in all capital letters.
Yeah.
So it's like, why would I want to listen to that?
Right.
Right? But it got some good reviews, and it's on Sub Pop Records, the label with cred, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's their third album and the first one on Sub Pop, so it's like, maybe there's something to this. So we listened to it, didn't we?
We did.
Dutifully, because when Sub Pop tells you to listen to something, you might as well go ahead and listen to it, right?
That's right.
Who's better? You are way more attuned to, I think, to labels than I am. Which is a better label, Sub Pop or Matador? They seem like super similar labels to me. Like they're kind of at the upper of the indie
and they're
stuff.
both a little bit, both of them, and you can throw Merge in there too. Just feel like their heyday was a little bit ago.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think actually like Jaguar, and they have some of those other sister labels based in Bloomington, Indiana, are kind of taking over a little bit. So these guys are sort of, your old, I don't know what's a word I'm looking for, but they're kind of the old guard in the indie label realm. And I think all three of them still have an awful lot of relevance and pull. They just don't put out as many great things as they used to. But I read an interview with these guys at Level Up, and their goal after 2 albums, and first of all, they're all like 25, met in college in New York, and after 2 albums of not much success, they thought, if we don't get on one of these big 3 labels, let's just pack it in. And they knew a friend up in Seattle, and that person knew somebody at Sub Pop and said, "Hey, I got some people at Sub Pop that'll come and listen to your show." So no pressure, just go out there and audition for these guys.
Uh-huh.
And I guess they were like, oh, shit, pretty nervous about it. But went out and had what they all agreed was like just the best show they ever had and got signed. So here they are. So there you go. Still not making a ton of money from what I read. They're all still kind of wistful about having a career and getting a job and not having to worry about money. And, we always kind of wonder about that. And, certainly there are bands that are a lot more well-known and sell more records than these guys have. But, they're kind of an example of one of the bands that really made it. You signed to Sub Pop and they put out your record, right? And all the big, Will's Band of the Week, Pitchfork, The Onion have all reviewed this thing. So, I mean, that's as high as a lot of bands would dare to dream.
Right.
Dare to aim. But, and, they're still kind of struggling. So, that's that.
All right.
What do you think about their music?
Well, I think let's give you the first pick from this album.
Okay. Well, first of all, it's kind of a guitar band.
Yep.
Right? So there aren't as many of those as there used to be. And I'm going to pick a song that's kind of relevant to today. It's called Pain, number 5.
Singing softly next to me, headlights wide, forget to breathe, break and swerve, way what I believe. Where is the one you love who loved you unconditionally? And who you need? Will you forget or will you repress the demons run rampant in your head? White noise puts you to sleep. When you sleep, do you dream of him? What can you see if you can't comprehend? We'll stay with you until the end. Your innocence was taken from you behind closed doors by one you trusted. You were the one who he trusted. I long to hurt him. In winter grows silence surrounding. I will watch from my window, painting reveries of his pain. I hope you're cold. I hope you grow.
Let's level up. The album is called Return to Love.
Yeah, so that's, I think that one's pretty catchy. Reminds me really of two bands. This song, overall, this band reminds me of Built to Spill, kind of more than anything else.
There's, his vocal inflection is a little bit like
Right.
that guy from Built to Spill.
Doug March.
Doug March, yep.
And also a little bit like Waves.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? It's funny. The very first track, immediately I thought it had that kind of rock and acoustic thing, and I'm like, it kind of sounds like Neutral Milk Hotel. Mm-hmm. And I used to joke that all bands get compared to Neutral Milk Hotel. Now I finally found one that actually does kind of sound like them. But yeah, they do a interesting combination of acoustic and electric guitars. Sometimes they'll have almost like a chainsaw guitar, right? And then it'll lead into an acoustic part or something. Mm-hmm. So they do a little bit of dynamic stuff that's interesting. So, all right, I'll make a pick. I'm going to go back to track 4. called Spirit Was.
Obviously also has kind of a 90s sound to it.
Yeah.
Well on display there with those big power chords and kind of a slower tempo and,
Right.
you know, chainsaw sound. So,
Yeah.
not altogether maybe the, you know, most original thing you've ever heard, but there isn't really that much guitar rock that's out there right now.
We're guitar rock guys, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're old-fashioned rockers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Give us the guitar rock.
Yeah, you can keep your keyboards and your synthesizers and your all that stuff.
You know,
Give me
I kind
guitar rock.
of want to be open-minded, but whenever there's anything, like if I'm reading through reviews, if there's anything that's like a producer or a DJ, it's not even hardly worth listening to because I just know I'm not going to like it. Does that mean I'm so ingrained in the guitar rock that I'm closed-minded now?
Maybe a little bit. But, you know, life is about making choices, and one choice often limits choices in the future, right? So you've chosen to be a guitar rock fan, you know,
Yeah.
and you've kind of put other stuff behind you. You know, you're not a country music fan. You're not a pop fan.
Yeah.
Not that it's, you know, you couldn't go back, but I just don't see that in your future.
Do you think people are going to stop listening to the podcast now? Just like
I don't think
completely
so.
closed-minded people?
Well, you're closed-minded, but
That's what I meant. They're
I'm
listening to us.
open-minded.
Well, yeah. Okay.
No,
That's
I'm also closed-minded.
All right. You're definitely closed-minded about that Wedding Present album.
Yeah. I did not listen to that at all. After that podcast, that was the last I heard it.
Yes.
Actually, I haven't even thought about it. It's been kind of nice not to
it was
think
a
about
painful reminder for you. Okay. Do you have another pick?
it. The second last song called I.
Nostalgia
Some sound effects there.
Mm-hmm.
I like how when they stop, there's a crazy amount of feedback.
Right.
That's fun, right?
Yeah.
It's a good effect.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think? Would you give this a full-throated recommendation, or?
I give it just a general recommendation.
Okay.
But not like a super enthusiastic. I like it.
Yeah.
But I didn't really like fall crazy over it.
That's how I feel too. I'd give it a 3.5 stars. You know,
I'll give it a 7.2 on the Pitchfork
Movie's
scale.
different. Yeah. I've started to kind of think that the 100-point scale is it allows you to make distinctions when really there aren't any. You know what I mean? Like one thing can get a 7.9, another can get a 7.3. Well, they're both 3.5 stars, and the distinction is really kind of artificial. You know?
Yeah, it's a good argument there. I kind of like,
So.
maybe I just like making artificial distinctions.
Yeah, I do too.
Because
But-
I kind of feel like a lot of things could get a 7, like out of 10, which would be like the 3.5. So I kind of like to try to differentiate, you know, okay, maybe this one's a 7, but I kind of like this one a little better than the other one that's a 7, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's all, everyone has their own system they like best.
Yeah.
You know what system I don't like, though? The letter grades.
Yeah,
That's a B. That's a
silly.
B minus, and you know, come on.
Right.
I don't know. I don't like that. Even though it doesn't matter. It's the same thing, I guess.
Right. Well, I
But-
think too that like it ties in with notions about what an A, B, and a C are.
And
in
I think-
academics, because it's completely different now than it used to be.
Right.
Like you
But-
get a C on something that is a failure.
It's not
for
it's,
a good student.
Yeah, they call it average, but it's not really right.
Right.
But also then I think part of my thinking is that if you apply that to music, then if you say like, okay, I'm giving this album a B minus, you're saying like, bad job, artist. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
Whereas if you just give it a 6.2, you're just like, I didn't really like that much. It's all right.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
That's true.
let's give the listeners, since we only have 2 bands, let's give them a little bonus. There's another track on this Level Up album that I think is kind of fun. It's kind of a rocker with an interesting sound. It's track 2 called Blur. Some double leads there.
Yeah. Get a little Thin Lizzy thing going on.
Yeah.
And since I last came, a new book has appeared by
In the studio?
above the mixer.
Yeah.
Burns's Poetical Works from 1874. Where did you get that?
Yeah. That was from
That's
my
an old
my
book.
uncle's collection.
Wow.
We ended up with them in our house, and my wife said, do something with these books.
Yeah. So
I haven't
there
figured
they
out
are.
what to do with them yet.
What else we got
So
there?
they're probably worth thousands of dollars.
Probably.
So, yeah.
They look like this is the handwritten manuscript.
Right. Yeah.
that we
Look
have
at the
here.
cover on this one. Man, oh man. Yeah, let's see what this is.
This is a different one. Lyrics from Cottonland. Looks to be maybe African American poetry from shortly after the Civil War. Interesting. What's that one there?
Whatever it is,
It's signed.
yeah. There were only 943 copies, and this is number 363.
What does that say? It
it's-
says
it's
William Shakes. Can't make the rest of it out.
It's from a college of music, and looks like it's called Great Musicians Book 2.
Let's
Yeah.
see. Yes.
So, yeah, that's part of the Will's Band of the Week library. We've got a library in here now. We'll give tours. Once we're no longer doing the podcast, they'll give tours of the studio, right?
Right. So we've got these cool old fancy books, and then don't you have the Steven Tyler biography in here? Kind of like
That should be in here somewhere.
bringing the average way down.
Yeah.
Wow. Look at this.
If people could tour Fourth Bedroom Studios, don't you think it would be like a top attraction on TripAdvisor
It would be.
and Yelp? Yeah.
Whoa, this book is... I'm still looking at this book here.
While Barrett reads that book, I'll introduce the next band. Compliments of our listener, David. Joyce Manor. Yeah, it's a band called Joyce Manor, and they're a power pop band. They kind of sound like a particular era, and maybe they kind of sound like certain other bands. So we're going to play a track, and Barrett hasn't heard this yet, so he's going to tell us what era it sounds like and what band or bands it sounds like. Are you ready, Barrett?
I am ready.
You're on the spot, but because you're the intellectual power of the podcast, you're usually up to these challenges.
So just one more time to review. I'm looking for kind of the era and then who it sounds like.
Right.
Okay.
So let's try track 5 from the new album by Joyce Manor, which is called Cody. The track is called Last You Heard of Me.
Found myself down at the Hour Bar. For the second time this year. Wrote my song down, gave it to the guy. Then went to grab another beer. Sonia's going to the parking lot. Probably gonna smoke some weed. I'd go with, but I don't touch the stuff. Unless I wanna go to sleep. Step outside to have a cigarette. Smoke is crowding to the street. Digging through your personal network. For a second, all I need. And in the moment I see everything. Start to finish, side to peak.
That's Joyce Manor from Torrance, California. I should have made you guess where they were from.
Well, I don't know that I would have had any more luck guessing where they were from than what it is you're trying to get me to say. Because I don't know. I mean, it just sounds kind of like a lot of things. And this one, I'd think that I might be kind of zeroing in on something. It would slip my grasp, and I came up empty.
Well, the whole thing, to me, kind of sounds like a 90s power pop thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even a little bit like the early years of Fountains of Wayne, right? Which would have been... Were they in the 90s? Or were they like early 2000s?
No, they would have been like... I want to say Utopia Parkway was probably like 98 or something. So, yeah.
Yeah, so this is 1996 through 2001 era power pop, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I'll buy that.
One thing that David mentioned was that this is just really catchy throughout. And I was a little resistant at first because the way the guy sings is so much like kind of that 90s thing, right? It's kind of like I don't know. You know what? They sound a little bit like, remember the Wrens the Wren's Meadowlands album and the follow up for the last like 10 years. The follow up is supposed to be coming out, right?
Yeah, didn't they have one called Secaucus too?
I don't remember that one. The Meadowlands was the one that really made him big, I think.
Yeah.
So, but you're cool, so you knew him before that, probably.
No, I'll admit to being like Nicholas, where I heard about the Wrens way after the fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, they sound a little bit like that too. But I came to pretty much agree with David. It's a pretty catchy album, and one thing that's cool about it: 10 songs, 25 minutes.
Yeah,
Just
averaging
rocks
about
right
2.5
through.
minutes a song.
Yeah, and I think it might be like their third album, approximately their third album. I'm going to say. I saw somebody's comment, which was, "This is the first album of theirs that's longer than his commute to work."
Yeah,
So I kind of admire a band that just puts it out there kind of quickly,
sure.
and the songs
Makes
don't
it
drag
easy to
on,
get to know.
obviously. Yeah. So let's play the last song, track 10, which is called "This Song Is a Mess, But So Am I."
I wrote this one for you, 'cause that's all I can do. Sad, but it's all true, so I guess it'll have to do. And trust the broken wing, a bird that doesn't sing. Useless, not on you. Some other cover coming through. Just wanna sleep away the hour. Blinded by the light. This song is a mess, but so am I. Beneath this old extreme, where you begin to dream, when you said nothing's new, made fucking 0 cents from you. Just fall asleep away the hour, blinded by the light. This song is a mess, but so am I.
Okay, I thought of another band of reference.
I did too before you played this. The last one, in retrospect, reminded me of Weezer, but this one did not. Who were you thinking?
Not a Surf.
Sure.
It's all
Yeah, just
poppy,
kind of,
not a surf thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like incredibly catchy.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Joyce Manor.
All right. Well, I think this has earned the potential correspondent a starting job in the low A ball for the Helena Brewers in Montana.
Are you going to put him in the? So instead of just pinch hitting now, he's going to be in the regular.
He's going to be in the
lineup.
lineup. Yeah, he's probably
Okay.
still kind of a utility guy, but
Mhm.
we'll always find a place for him to play.
Okay. Well, the next track I pick will determine whether he can go any further. Okay.
All right.
I'm going to play track 7, Over Before It Began.
Over before it began. Some of them were friends, I guess, and others, I guess they were fans. Some of them were strangers, some of them part of the plan.
right.
Did he keep his starting job?
Yeah, he did.
I thought of
did.
another band. You know what this also sounds like?
What?
The last couple of albums by Surfer Blood.
Okay.
Just kind of catchy power pop.
Yeah.
Not anything like super original, but you could definitely, you listen to the album, you learn the songs, you kind of can get into it, and it'd be cool to see them live. If they came around, I wouldn't mind seeing them, but I'd have to listen to like one or two other albums. Otherwise, there's only 25 minutes worth of material here.
Right.
And I wouldn't know the songs.
Right.
Right. That you got to study up on a band before you see them live.
Invest $14 in a band.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of money.
Right. Yeah. Or you could go up to the door and you could say, "Would you take $9?"
I'll give you 9.
Yeah.
I like one of their albums pretty much. That's about 25 minutes worth.
Yeah.
So
would you take
give me
$9?
a deal. Yeah.
Yeah. That might be a new strategy.
Might just give it a try.
You probably wouldn't be able to try that. It wouldn't work at the Ticketmaster office for the shows that cost like $60. If you went up there and offered $35,
no, right.
they'd probably say my management will not approve of that.
Right.
Right.
But if you went to the Frequency,
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
Sure. Yeah.
You know.
How about if you said I'll give you 9, but I'll also agree to buy a shirt or something like that.
There you go.
That'd be a pretty good deal.
That would
Really,
be.
the band would end up getting more.
They should have package deals like that, right?
Yeah.
So so you can say it's 14 to get in, which is very typical.
Yeah.
Say for $30 you get in, you get a T-shirt, and
Yeah.
you get the LP or CD. That's probably a little bit too good of a deal.
Yeah. How about then you get to talk to a band member for 1 minute?
Ooh, yes. All right.
We could do that for the podcast, right? Like when we do our live show, the line at the merch table would be so long that we'd have to kind of figure out a fair way to
You have
do
to
it.
limit it, right?
So we could do that package where you get the Wills Band shirt,
Right.
you get into the performance of the podcast, and then talk to us for 1 minute. But then what if they got Chris? They'd be like,
Then they go. Then if you get Chris, you're free to get back at the end of the line, and then hope you get a better podcaster next time.
That's right.
Like maybe even Craig or Nicholas would be there.
If Nicholas were there, the line would just go out the door, right?
Yeah, that would be
that'd
crazy.
out of control.
So we'd have to have Chris there to kind of keep the just kind of put a lid on things, put a lid on the enthusiasm, and make sure that things don't get too crazy.
Well, we definitely have Anurag there too.
And Anurag, right? Anurag would be the politest person.
Yeah,
People would have a hard time, people would want to go over, not even when they're done talking about music, just because he's such a friendly and polite person.
Right. He's
hard
an
to tear away.
he's an actual nice person. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, unlike the rest of us.
Yeah, this is just an act.
We're pretty much jerks in real life.
Like
we'd probably just brush you off completely, just like Josh Rouse did to you guys.
Right.
Be like, I don't have time for you people.
Like when we're playing one of the musical samples, I'll just take off my headphones. I'll just turn my back. Can't even stay on the side of whether it's you or Chris or anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I actually heard a thing where I can't remember who was on Letterman, and said he was really surprised that the first time when they you'd go to commercial and he's making a point of looks like he's going to be talking to you and kind of engaging you, but then when they're like, okay, and we're clear or whatever, nothing, no talking to you, no smiling. He's just over talking to his writers, and then comes back and
then
gives the
acts
illusion that you've been
that there's been this. They've been
talking the whole time
during the commercial break.
Yeah, so it was really, really awkward. But I'm sure that's kind of how they all do it. You know? Just like if we came here and had a pre-production meeting, and we have done that, said all kinds of funny stuff.
Yeah,
God, we can't do it again because it won't be natural. We
right,
just lost it.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we don't look at each other when we're not talking.
No, we pretty much It's all business really here.
Right.
We make it sound like
got a job to do.
Yeah. But we've gotten so good at it that we actually sound natural. So it's pretty good, right?
I know.
After this many
when
years.
I just laughed there.
Yeah.
You know how hard that is to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't even do it again. It's but that was totally fake.
Well, think about how experienced we are as podcasters now.
Right.
I mean, we've been doing this now for 7 years, right? This podcast has been going on.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
That's why we're better than a lot of those NPR people, for example.
Yeah,
because
totally.
we're so experienced.
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, they have the advantage probably of, like actually liking each other.
Yeah.
Maybe they would socialize or even talk before or after they record, but
yeah,
we just don't do that.
Do you think when they do those things at Bob Boylan's desk, I think they like give him the cold shoulder completely? Probably some intern comes in and, has them set up, right?
Right.
And they probably barely get to see.
Where's Robin Hilton? Oh, he's not going to be here.
And
why would he be here?
Yeah. Yeah. They probably never even get to see him.
Yeah, probably not.
All right. That's enough, right? We gave them their $0 worth again.
Mm-hmm. I gave them a little bit less. I think I still had not a hangover from the, I don't even have a drink during watching that game, although I could have used one.
Yeah.
I just have an emotional hangover from that game. So I was not bringing much energy to this podcast today. I think that came through in my shallow analysis of things and lack of enthusiasm.
I kind of feel like we didn't get mad enough about Donald Trump, did we?
No.
Or we were too easy on him. I mean, we said bad things about him, but we didn't. It wasn't very impassioned.
No.
It was like a resignation to the terrible state of affairs.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know if you can blame the Packers for that or not, but...
I don't know either.
Yeah. Well...
But I guess we did come out in case people were wondering what the three Americans, Chris not being here, but he's also not a Trump supporter.
Yep.
We're all probably wondering what we thought, and that's what we think.
Yeah, so there you go. All right.
Yep. Kind of a somber podcast, and it's like started off a little bit lacking energy, and at the end, we're just totally out of gas.
Yeah.
You had nothing.
There's nothing left. No. So, we better sign off.
Yep.
I think we're going to have a Grant's Underground next week, and then we're going to get Barrett back in the studio in 2 weeks, and we'll have to come up with some music. It's getting to be that time, right? It's October. There'll probably be a few more good new releases, but I remember that usually when you hit November, they're just kind of shutting it down for the rest of the year, right? We might have to find a couple of old bands to revisit, do some specials or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. We haven't covered all of music yet.
We have not. I'd also like sometime to take a look at a year, Yeah. Like, say, 1986.
Sure.
30. We always have this thing about 30 years ago, because that's back when we were, like, young.
Yeah.
So
we could do that.
Wistful for
when we picked a year. I remember I picked 1993. Everybody thought, why would you ever pick 1993? And you had a year that was in the 80s, right?
No, Chris did. I had 1966.
And what was Chris's year?
Chris's was I don't know. It was like 1982.
Okay.
84.
Should we just decide now we'll do 1986?
Sure.
Okay, so sometime in the next month we will do a show about 1986.
Yeah.
So if anybody has any 1986 favorites, let us know. We'll put them in the playlist.
Mm-hmm.
We might say they're bad,
fun.
but
we can talk about TV shows a little bit, right? Current events. Mostly we'll stick with the music, but you can kind of maybe weave in relevant asides about movies and TV, political figures.
Anything we want. It's a free-form podcast.
Right.
Yeah. All right, let's sign off. I'm not sure if we hit an hour on this one. I think the raw recording is over an hour, but with the blather that I'll have to edit out, any mistakes that I made have to be edited out. I leave yours in. So I'm going to predict about a 58 or 59 minute podcast, but maybe we'll hit an hour. It's going to be close. So let's sign off. We'll talk to everybody again next week with another edition of Will's Band of the Week. Good night.
Good night.
You can subscribe to the Will's Band of the Week podcast using iTunes or any other podcast app. All of our podcasts are also available directly on our webpage, willsband.net. You can contact us directly by email to willsband@yahoo.com, on our Facebook page, or on Twitter @willsband. The Will's Band of the Week podcast is brought to you every week from Fourth Bedroom Studios in Madison, Wisconsin. Our theme music was composed by Grant and performed by Grant and Will. Thanks for listening.